Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sri Tips here. What I have here is 2 large bags of gold-filled material. Let's see what we got here for this. This is going to be 1,066, so I'm going to take off 5 grams for the bag. So we're going to call this 1,061 grams of gold-filled material in this bag. Dump it in here. Today is Friday, 2 May. And we got 1,061 grams of gold-filled scrap. The other bag, set this up here and get a weight on this. This is going to be 2349. I'm going to take off 10 grams for the bag, so we're going to call this 2339. 2339. I'm going to pour this now into our container. And I'm going to have to sort through all of this and get it classified. And I'm not going to do that on camera. This is going to take a lot of time. So we've got a total of 3,400 grams of gold-filled material. I've been through all this material now. All of this was junk. Someone had already got to this stuff and gone through it and picked out most of the gold-filled ahead of time. So there was way less there than I thought there was going to be. And so here is the stuff that I recovered that's gold-filled. So what we're going to do is put it up on this scale and see exactly what we got here. Zero that out. Add our gold-filled, clean gold-filled material in here that we're going to use to refine. All right, we've got 449 grams. 449 grams. I'm going to say times 0.03, about 3%. So we should be looking at about 13.5 grams of pure gold from this amount of gold-filled scrap. Adding distilled water to a 4-liter beaker. Burn this material in a melt dish. Just heat it to redness. Put it in the beaker, the water. And then I'll just repeat all that until I get all this burnt. Adding some nitric acid. I'm going to put about 100 milliliters in here to start this reaction off. With this much gold-filled scrap, it should take about, maybe close to 1.5 liters. I'm going to fill up a delivery funnel with some nitric acid. Add another 100 milliliters of nitric straight into the beaker to kick this reaction off. Coming up like that, I can take a little distilled water and knock it back down. Reaction's cooled down. I have not added any heat yet. And what I'll do is start dripping in the nitric acid up here a little at a time. That's just about right there. Got the first charge of nitric in there. I'm going to take this out and get the rest of the acid in the beaker. I'm going to fill this back up with nitric acid now. Got about 1,200 milliliters of nitric acid in there now, equal amount of water. I'm just going to turn the heat up and let this boil until all those fumes clear out. Some distilled water to dilute it, cool it down. I'm adding some more nitric acid. Set this back up on the heat. Crank some heat on this and continue to boil it in nitric acid. The more time I spend in the hot nitric acid during these nitric boils, the easier the refining will be in the next step. Here I'm pouring off the last nitric acid boil. The color of the solution is blue, which means we were still pulling some copper away from those gold foils. So it probably would have been beneficial at this point to do another nitric acid boil, but I elected not to do it because I was running out of time. I've transferred the gold foils to a specially prepared filter, and I'm using distilled water to rinse the blue liquid off of the gold foils. Incineration of the gold foils. This step is so very important. Don't even think about trying to skip this step, because if you do, if you go straight to aqua regia, then your yields will suffer. I promise you. I can't explain why. All I know is from my experience that the yields will suffer. If you don't have a furnace, you can use a torch with the flame down low. Put some hydrochloric acid in here. Set this up on some heat back here. Start adding doses of nitric acid to form aqua regia, and we'll dissolve this gold in aqua regia. During this sequence, I'm lifting the beaker up and looking at the bottom of the beaker, checking for solids in the bottom of the beaker, and then adding more hydrochloric acid and more nitric acid as needed to try to get all of the solids, the gold foils, to go into solution. Allow the gold solution to cool completely. We're going to chill it by adding some ice. And just as a little commentary here, I do not use distilled water. These are tap water ice cubes. I have used distilled water in the past, but it's not necessary. Tap water has contaminants measured in parts per million, and that's not enough to register in a precious metals assay. There's some solids in there. What that is that was some carat gold watch cases. I'm gonna dip a piece of filter paper in here, get a little bit of our solution on it. Now what we'll do is a status test to verify that we've got gold in solution. And you can see that dark stain right there. It means that we've got lots of gold in solution. Very pleased to see this little bit of carat gold down here. I'm going to tell you why right now. Because this person that had this gold filled material in this bag was referred to me by a good friend. And when I seen this bag, I thought, oh my goodness, there's got to be at least an ounce and a half of pure gold in here. But it turns out that most of the heavy gold-filled material had already been removed out of this. This is all worthless junk pretty much in here. So by having a little bit of karat gold in here, that means I'll be able to produce a decent amount of yield for this person. I gave this person a large deposit because I was counting on recovering about an ounce and a half of gold from all this. And it turns out I'm probably going to end up with a less than 1/2 ounce. So this karat gold here, I'll melt it into a button and we'll count it as karat gold towards the deposit that I gave. And so probably what's going to end up happening is the amount of deposit I gave exceeded the amount of gold that I expect to recover in this case. So I've got to go back to this person and try to get some of my money back. But I did give it as a deposit, so we should be able to settle up once I get a final yield. This is only taking a few minutes to pull our liquid through that filter. And if we had skipped the incineration process, this filtering operation could take all day, because if there's any tin in those gold foils, which is highly likely in gold-filled material, if there's any tin in there, it forms a tin paste that plugs the filters up, and it takes a really long time to pull the solution through the filter. But in this case, since we incinerated it, if there is any tin in with our gold foils, incineration causes the tin paste to burn and form, I believe it is tin oxide, which is insoluble and easily filtered out. Having this karat gold in here is a good thing. This might end up saving me because I've got to try to get part of my deposit back, which is my fault. Here's the junk that's in our filter. I'll save that, put it in with my paper storage. Out of the way for right now. I've got a clean beaker. You see there's a little scum floating on the surface of that liquid. That's all right. I'm just going to go for a quick precipitation here. Do a status test before we do the precipitation, just to verify that we've got gold. It's always a good idea to do this in practice before we try the precipitation, to make sure we've actually got gold in solution. But you can see that dark stain. Gold is in that solution. I have some ferrous sulfate. We're going to use this to precipitate out the pure gold. Here we go. Let's try it and see what happens. I'm only expecting about 12 or 13 grams. So let's go ahead and just pour this right on in and try to precipitate out our pure gold. settled out pretty quickly. I'm going to do another status test to make sure that we've got all the gold precipitated out of this solution. Let's see what we got here. And it does look like all the gold has in fact been precipitated. I think all the gold is settled out quickly and cleanly down there. Let's see if we can get it to, oh yeah, we're getting a little bit piled up down in there. You can see it as I tilt the beaker, drift down to one side. There you can see a pretty good example of what we got down in there. Sometimes a little bit of the gold will float from surface tension on top of the solution. Whenever that happens, I just take a squirt bottle like this, put it on mist, and try to get the gold to settle out. Now what I'll do is I've got some water in there heating up in the microwave. We're going to use some hot distilled water to rinse all this gold off. What I'm going to do is reconfigure everything here and pour off this waste solution. Then we'll rinse it multiple times with hot water and boil it in some hydrochloric acid. I'm going to put it on time lapse now and do all that. If you watch the gold, after I put it up on the heat and start boiling, right here it turns color. It goes from a dark looking color to a very light looking color, which tells me that that's hydrochloric acid is doing a good job cleaning this up. I dumped off this first hydrochloric boil and did a second hydrochloric acid boil. These hydrochloric acid boils always seem to do a fairly decent job cleaning that gold up. Look at that, man. Beautiful. So we're going to pour this off now and do some hot water rinses.
Here's our 2 pieces of gold from this gold-filled scrap. And this is the stuff that's left over here, which is pretty much all junk. All the value had already been extracted from that. And let's see what we got for a yield on this. I was only expecting about 12 or 13 grams. 17.1. Oh my goodness, what a relief. Because I thought that the deposit that I gave this person was going to be too much, and I'd have to go back and ask them for part of that deposit back. This turned out to be 10K gold, the karat gold that was undissolved in the beaker. And let's see what this weighs. That's 2 grams, 1.9. So what this turned out to be is incredible. This, I gave the person that owned the scrap $1,500, thinking that I was going to pull about 1.5 ounces out of this stuff. But then when I started sorting through it, I seen that there wasn't much value in there. It's mostly just junk, not valuable. And so I thought, once I got going with this, that it was only going to be about $1,100 worth of gold, and I'd have to go back to that person and try to get part of my deposit back. Here's how I determine the payout. I pay 80% is what I pay for the scrap. And we've got 1.9 grams of 10K. That's worth $65.97, say 66. And I got 17.1 grams of 24K pure gold, and that's 1425, say. So that calculates out to be about almost 1490. And I gave the owner 1500. So I told them we're square. The 1500 that I gave them will be just fine for the amount of gold that I was able to recover from her scrap. And I can't believe it came out almost perfect for this refining. All right, this will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching.